Okay, so like I was saying, I don't want to cross that line between teaching them how to parent themselves and being their parent and having us create a dynamic, a relationship that's inappropriate. Now, I invest highly in my clients, powder brush in the mouth, and I am fine with them investing in me. I make it very clear that I'm not trying to replace anybody. If they do make a comment about how affectionate they feel towards me, how attached, how happy they are to see me, or one of my something I hear once in a while is, "I'm your favorite, aren't I?" You know, which is a child to their parent kind of comment. Although, you know, clients will say that to their counselors a lot. And do I feel like I have to tell them every time, "No, I'm just your counselor"? No, because they need to be able to experiment with feeling, even if later it's difficult to resolve certain arguments because there's confusion. That's good confusion. That helps them grow in all kinds of relationships they're in. Not confusion on who I am, but how can I admire you, appreciate you, even have a certain level of fondness or love. I have a certain amount of fondness and attachment to all of my clients, or I wouldn't be able to work with them as deeply as I do. Frankie, enough. Come. Okay. So there's that line where you have to, you know, be bright, not silly, about how you're relating to your clients. You have to stay in tune. I didn't start growing until I had a therapist who was involved, who wasn't a robot, who wasn't just completely polite all the time. That's the truth. I've had clients say, "Well, I feel like I could cut back on sessions, or I feel like I could stop coming, just kind of call if I need to, but I'm going to miss you if I do that. So I think I'll just keep sessions just so we can visit, since it's, you know, unethical to be friends with your clients." And I think that, so I'm like, that is so sweet. What a compliment. But I think it's, you know, at some point a parent has to kind of kick you out of the nest, parent figure. And a counselor has to do that as well. You're only supposed to come back home to your parent if you need to. You can still call and check in once in a while, but you should be in your own digs, you know? And that's the same way as with the therapist. At some point, you need to be out there making human mistakes like everybody else, trying to figure them out, and if you can't, you phone home. Kind of thing. So being a therapist to someone with trauma is different than being a therapist to someone who has some life experience that they're kind of confused about, who might only need a session or two. They're not going to be attached to their counselor right with there. There's not near enough time. But it's hard to work on trauma if you're working with someone who's cold, who doesn't get it, who's not highly invested. Anyway, that's how it was for me. Because true healing comes from emotion and from trusting that you're being given the right homework. And you have to do your homework. You have to trust that it's going to make a difference. It's not about building a relationship with some other human being to take the place of someone you didn't have or someone who's gone. But how can you expect another human being who's sitting in that leadership position to not be invested? So when I turned, long story longer, so I decided to look at quorum. And I didn't yell at my client, I don't think, but it probably felt like it. And that's what I wanted to go with. You know, I didn't want to soft coat how I responded. So I looked up, what do I do when my counselor yells at me? And there were like 45 answers that came up. And about 35 of them were like, you need to fire your therapist. And about 10 of them were, you'd have to know the whole relationship dynamic. You'd have to know, you know, you didn't give enough information, basically, on, you know, what was going on. And then there were some that talked about the therapist being human, and without more information, it's hard to tell what caused the therapist to get heightened. And I thought, there aren't very many people who appreciate. There were so many that were like, call the board, call the state, fire them, find someone else, don't go back. And I was just thinking, witch hunt, good God. But, you know, to each their own. There's no way I would do that to someone who's new, who's too fragile to handle it, in my opinion. If after building a relationship like that, of trust, doing homework, working through issues, and then me behaving in the way I did is enough to make you feel like a betrayal, then there's more going on that I think. I'm one of the best therapists I know. Do I make a mistake once in a while? Yeah. But also, would I want me for a therapist? Yes. Do I have room to grow? Yes. But if a client comes up with something that is completely off my radar, then I get curious and think, how did this happen? And am I the right person to work with this person? Not because I want to get rid of them, but because, dang, if I missed something that was that flamboyant, am I the one who can help them heal from this? Or do they need someone else? Do they need to go through a different process to help them heal if they're being that affected? And I think it's a big deal. I think a lot of therapists don't talk about what it's like to be a therapist. And especially when you've been in the business a long time, that sometimes things happen that hardly ever happen, like this. Hardly ever happen. So people don't really talk about it much. And so that's where, you know, when you read these comments that are like, hang 'em. It's like, wow, you don't understand what it's like to be human evidently. Now, there are some things that I'm not going to blatantly tell someone, I want to be your mom. Quit being my client. And I want to start taking care of you. I'm not going to do that. I would never start a sexual relationship with a client. I would never insinuate to do that. But on rare occasion, counselors are faced with clients who think they're getting mixed signals. Or you may actually be given mixed signals and not know it. That's why it's important to have a supervisor. All counselors should have their own counselor they can get into pretty quickly. And they should also have a clinical supervisor. And I'm lucky that I have a couple different people I can open up to. One is a lot more clinical than the other one, and the other one is a lot more existential like I am. But I need the balance of both. So that's one thing I'm working through. That not having a bathroom. Spouse is getting another surgery today. So I'll be busy taking care of business. Taking care of business. I want to put on a little bit of frost today. And I'm going to use this. I just want to. I have one of these palettes that has that frost. And when I went to turn it in, I sent the wrong one back. And the one that I wanted to keep, because it was like blush colors. And I ended up keeping the one that has like 4 different glitters. And I don't usually use glitters until I used it one day and y'all said it looked good. So I hope this makes sense. If I have any watchers who are counselors or clients, understand that your counselor isn't going to be perfect. But if your counselor's not pushing you, if you're just going in to chit-chat and you're going because you had some important issues, don't get so attached that you think your therapist doesn't want to work. Some therapists just don't have the guts to push you. They don't. Or they don't have the belief system that says they should push you. They just don't have that belief system. So, it's up to you. I am regretful that I reacted that strongly. But regretful doesn't mean that I would take it back. Yeah, it does. It does. It means I would take it back. But I'm not ashamed. Regretful, but not ashamed. How's that? I had to add something darker to this bright lipstick. I love how it feels on my face. But I don't like how bright it is. Where's those little eyeshadows that I had that were too dark for me? Come on, you know where they're at. Where are they? Hold on. I'm going to find them. Yeah. They're in here somewhere. Hold on. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Okay, well, maybe I gave them away or threw them away with my last scour. No, I think I did. I thought I would never use them for anything because they were just, I didn't like how they looked in the pores of my skin. But I didn't think to use them for a lipstick changer. You know what? Sometimes you just have to admit to yourself, oh, here we go. Found them. No, these aren't. Oh, I got rid of the dark ones, I guess. I just kept the light ones. Huh. It was a live and learn. Yeah, I do regret it. I wish I was going to do it a different way. I am going to, at our next session, we're going to discuss this and see if there's any lingering feelings. Because I think I created a feeling of shame. It's funny too, because one of the things that parents can offer, and this is going to be a learning experience, is they can offer someone the opportunity to explore guilt versus shame. Guilt is, okay, what am I going to do better next time? Shame is, I'm a terrible person. No one will ever love me. And that's certainly not true. I don't think I'm helping this color much. Mascara. Okay. So I was a member of several therapists forums years ago, before COVID. And then when COVID happened, counselors were just acting like police. What they were bringing to COVID, the rules and regulations and the shame around it, they were upping the ante on therapists too. Like if you did anything that wasn't approved of, they were like so over the top in their opinions. And it's like, who are you to do that? Well, because some of the therapists had a lot of initials after their name, and they were transgender of some kind, or LGBT, I should say, of some kind. They just felt like they had the right to say anything they wanted to. And I believe that regardless of your identity, handicap, color, there's a certain existential lesson that life has to offer. It's not always about someone did something. Sometimes it's about why did they do it. And also sticking up for certain clients no matter what. And it's like, well, if you want to put all that energy into hyperbole, that's fine, but what about the solution? Let's get with that. There are certain lessons that it doesn't matter. To me, it really, we all can tap into what's right and wrong, what's love and what's hate, what's confusing and what's simple. And to me, God is simplicity, and my devil, my Satan, is confusion. I don't like being confused. I find God in peace. That's just how I operate. That's how simple my relationship with God is sometimes. Anyway, I gotta go. I've got to I've got to get motivated, get out of here, because I have to get to the hospital, drop off, and then get home and work, and then go pick up. Yeah, that's on my agenda today. Well, thanks for letting me vent about work and about other counselors. And I'm going to tell you what, I am tired of people feeling ashamed to share whether they got a COVID shot or not. I'm tired of people being ashamed of just saying, having a general discussion about who they're going to vote for and why, or who they're not going to vote for and why. I'm just tired of people's hyperbole, I guess, is the word for the day. My godmother used to use that word quite a bit. A couple other. She used to say, "Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining." I love that one. That was a good one. I don't know. I didn't use up that much eyeshadow. All right, I've got to tame down this lip color. There we go. So, back of my head is fuzzy. Let's put this up here so I can see. I know, right? Therapists, doctors, we can only help you with the information you give. If you don't give the information, how do you expect the therapist to be able to serve you very well? Especially if you only give part of the information. If you only give part of the information, then it looks like a completely different picture. That's weird too. Some therapists don't have as much intuition or empathy as others. So a lot of times you just have to go on the information that's been given. I had a client one time, I missed something or I forgot something, and and he got mad at me. He was telling me part of his story about a military maneuver, and something that really stuck was something a lot of other, I won't give the information, but that a lot of other people wouldn't have taken so seriously. And some people would have been disappointed, bummed out, but they would have gotten it corrected and move on. Because that kind of thing this kind of thing happens a lot. Duh. Right? This is the part of being human. You might have PTSD. You might have had trauma without PTSD, but trauma that you need to work through. But there is a certain point where you're like, okay, that isn't traumatic. That situation was not traumatic on anybody's level, but for some reason it hit you that way. So let's look at the cobweb, or the chain link, that one line that's attached to that event that reminds you that triggered in you. Something like that is usually attached to poor parenting, abandonment. When a child feels abandoned, it may not look or feel like abandonment to you, as an adult, but to almost every child, they're going to feel that way. You just don't remember childhood. But the event that happened that triggered all this, nobody would have, not very many people ever would have responded the same way. So that's how you know it was linked to something that was real. Very interesting. Mental health is very interesting. That's why it's very important to have a trusting relationship. And sometimes when you're that close, feelings get hurt. I know some clients who go out and celebrate that they've had victorious session with a client they've been seeing for a while, and now they're going to cancel future appointments because they're feeling so good about their life. So the counselor goes out and celebrates with the other counselors or friends or by themselves even, because they feel so good about it, and they're like, oh, I did well. But then they're going to be sad for a little while because they're going to miss that person being on the routine, being on the books. So it's not like we're not human. Yeah, I'm all squatted down here. Okay, a couple more. So, yeah, being a therapist. You know who I've read most of his books is Irving. Oh, Irving. He wrote a book called Staring at the Sun. I usually have the name of 3 of them right off the top of my head. The therapist. Oh, dang it. I'm sorry. Maybe I am getting a little senile. I don't know. Do you always recognize it when you're doing it? I'm just wondering. I'll have to look up dementia. I'm not seeing anything or hearing anything, but I have been pretty forgetful lately. But I get stressed out easy. When I have a pile of stuff going on, and then I'll just, it'll be fairly easy for me to be stressed out then for a little while. So I have to really take care of myself. I value myself. See? That's what, if your parents didn't teach you how to value yourself, then here you are trying to make it make sense. I think I already curled that section. Oh, part of it. So I don't like the lighting in my bathroom. It makes me look like I don't have any hair here. Makes it look really thin. But when I put my hair down, I'm satisfied with the amount of hair that I have. It doesn't look like I'm losing all my hair. Oh, my dog. There he goes. There he goes. That's that Great Dane. I don't know if you can hear him barking, but... And they're beautiful. Okay, so if you're a therapist, read some of the material that other therapists have out there about what it's like to be a therapist. It can be a wonderful experience. But I can tell you that one of the things that I experienced, especially with those forums, is that I found out, and because there was nobody to refer clients to. Everybody was quitting or retiring because they were just like, this is too exhausting. And a lot of counselors, kind of like people in the military, they were like, I'm not going to take these shots so I can see clients. I'm not going to pretend that it's okay to do surgeries on these people who haven't even had counseling yet. That there were counselors out there saying, oh yeah, I'm going to sign off on you getting this surgery or that surgery after just filling out some paperwork. There are some counselors who were like highly against that. And so they just, instead of arguing, instead of trying to stick up or have a voice, because they were being bullied by other therapists who were saying, like, how dare you not, blah, blah, blah. So there was all this infighting. And I'm telling you, it was infuriating how nasty, rude, and mean-spirited some of these so-called therapists were getting over disagreeing over a pretty big ideal that warranted discussion. But it happened so fast where they were like lock, stock, and barrel. This is how we're going to handle it. And it was shocking. Anyway, there are so many people got out of the workforce in this area. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them. And when I try to voice my opinions, well, of course, I'm outdated. I'm not caught up with modern medicine. And I was like, modern medicine doesn't take away from science. There's a difference between modern medicine and modern concepts. I think saying modern medicine, I don't know. And then all of the rewriting the dictionary. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm telling you what. Thank God that I love my work. I do. And I'm telling you that I am so grateful for some of the clients that I've had who have been in the LGBT community and were open to having discussions about what they're experiencing and have made some decisions that they go against what they thought they were going to do when they first came. And now looking back, they're very grateful. And that makes me feel good. Now, there are some people who've moved forward with certain things, and they're I would say they're finding themselves, but I also feel that people who have a successful life changes are few and far between. There seems to be that it's not just because some people are sort of not comfortable with the style that they have, and they don't know how to change their style to fit their personality. Some people are more masculine, some people are more feminine. So when they finally figure out, wow, I can express myself as the opposite sex and feel much better. Now, when they use that logical thought and then they experiment with it and they have a better time, it's like, well, good for you. Okay, now you can be yourself. But the crossing the line into, not only am I going to pretend to be the opposite sex, I'm going to tell everyone else how they have to think around me or else. And then they were trying to make it a law that you had to go along with the play. And that's where I was like, the definition of a woman, a female, is one thing. The definition of a male, etc. Your spirit animal might be an animal or the opposite sex, but the physiology is still the same. So it's wonderful to see the self-confidence that comes with the truth. I just want to present in a different way that makes me feel comfortable. But I'm not going to be delusional and narcissistic and make you follow along with my fantasy or my new style and take it from style and expression to fantasy, delusion. We don't all have to be wrapped into that vortex. We can simply say, wow, you look so much happier now. And you look attractive. Good for you. Nice job on the hair and the makeup or the lumberjack boots, whatever it is. All right, I got to run. Anyway, I'm hoping more counselors will come back. If you're a counselor, we need you. With all of the, I've gotten several invitations to join some groups, insurance companies, because of the floods. They need some people to work with trauma. I'm booked, and they don't pay as much as I'm making, and they have trauma. My clients have trauma. I just don't only have so much time. I can't. A lot of my clients are doing really well, but not enough to get off the books to make room for someone else or another job space and time. So, I know there's not enough counselors. So if you're a counselor, you don't have to believe like me. I don't care if you believe like me. Just jump on the wagon. Just join in. Just get on over here. I mean it. Come on. We need you. And these makeups are heavy. I don't hardly ever use powder in my bag, but when I do, I want it. But I just stuck my fingernail in there. But this is so much lighter, so I'm gonna just put one of those in there. See how that works. Okay, so now I have a little makeup pouch. All right, we're gonna do my Temu haul tomorrow or later today. Love y'all, and thanks for listening to me vent. If you know any people who are retired counselors or they're part-time counselors, there are a lot of companies looking to hire someone right away. Or if you're in private practice and your license isn't expired, you might be able to get a contract with some of those counseling firms. But it's easy to get hired if you have all your stuff together with one of them now. So my fingers are crossed. And I'll look forward to reading any comments that you put down there. All right. Mwah. Bye for now.